Hello and welcome back to the channel. It's been about a year since our review of the construction updates on the Broadway extension. There's quite a lot happening here, so let's head to VCC Clark Station to start the review. At VCC Clark, construction is underway for the early works site of BC Hydro. But the most significant development for commuters happened in March, as Route 84 4th Avenue Express to UBC was upgraded to use articulated buses. The additional capacity is needed as construction ramps up and additional closures build up pressure on the existing 99B line. Moving west on the route, we see progress underway for the westbound guideway extension. This guideway extension continues for 700 meters past the existing guideway. Work on the elevated section began in December 2021. The site for Emily Carr Station has changed greatly since we last visited in June 2021. Significant portions of the land has been dug up in preparation for the TBM staging area. Here's some previous footage from 2021. Behind the university, we see materials for the guideway extension being stored. The skeleton of the current station is taking shape, but work will not progress any further until the tunnel to Arbutus is completely dug up. The TBM itself arrived in June and assembly is underway. Great Northern Way remains untouched by the construction processes below. Here at Mount Pleasant Station, we get a pleasant view of construction just at the back of the Services Canada building. The traffic deck is in place and you can see just how far below everything is being dug. At the time of recording, all stations west of here also have their traffic decks installed. And for those needing a refresher, the traffic deck is essentially a temporary bridge over the excavation site. This is so that cars and pedestrians alike can continue using businesses along Broadway. The 99B line, which is expected to be truncated at Arbutus when the line opens, has its westbound stop here moved one block east at Kingsway. Broadway-City Hall Station has perhaps the most intensive construction action at the time of filming. If any of you remember the renovations at Metrotown Station in 2016-2017, the same thing is happening here with the scaffolding maze at the entrance of the station. And speaking of mazes, the walking paths around the station have become very complex. At the time of filming, the east side crosswalk was completely closed off, forcing people to cross 3 times to access the northeast side of Broadway. The fact that it was reopened not long after shows the volatility of construction patterns in the area. Pay close attention as parts of the sidewalk are now on the road surface. The stops in either direction for both the 9 local service and the 99B line are relocated to Ash Street, which in practice makes it much closer to the neighboring station site to the west. 456 Broadway is completely gone. In its place, machinery and lots of digging. Here's some footage from about a year ago. Simply put, the traffic deck and excavation has progressed at Oak-VGH Station. And this is one of the locations where it kind of slopes up where you can get a decent view of the work going on below. Not much work is going on here, but from this angle, it's much more clear how close the hospital is to the station. The traffic deck is in place and the work area extends west to around Laurel Street. In fact, the actual station building is closer to Laurel Street than it is to Oak. Last time we were here, it was just a dirt pit. Anyways, let's move on to the next station. South Granville has had lots of action going on at the northeast corner of Broadway at Granville. We can see here that they've been at it trying to erect the commercial building and dig the station at the same time. The last time we were here, they were finishing up demolishing the old RBC bank and removing the foundations. From the westbound side, we can just get a glimpse of how much they've been digging under the side of the new building. Like, this shot was really hard to get because of the green tarp. The entire sidewalk on the westbound side at the station is closed, so you're gonna have to go around to Hemlock Street to access a couple of businesses on that end. On the eastbound side of Broadway, you can also get a feel of how narrow the sidewalk is. I guess the main point here is to get people to pay attention to where they're walking, since after all, it is an active construction zone. The terminus at Arbutus is the same as it was when we last visited, a large empty dirt pit. However, behind the site is a part of the tunneling process which will be excavated. West of here is a stretch of 350 meters where they will excavate the tunnel instead of using tunnel boring machines. The reason for this is because the 2 TBMs will be extracted over at Cypress Street sometime in 2023 when they finish. And that really is why they cannot start construction at the station building yet, as the tunnels need to be completed before any of that happens. In the meantime, if you're coming in from a westbound 99, you need to head across Broadway around 10th Avenue and through the back of the alley to access these businesses. Or you have the option of walking over to Maple Street instead and accessing those buildings through a temporary pedestrian bridge. For eastbound buses on the 99, the stop has been moved to U Street. Cypress was largely untouched last year when we visited, so all of this being done in a year is pretty impressive. Now that's just the stations on the extension. Outside the line itself, there are 3 major events in the past year which must be mentioned. The Broadway plan was approved in June 2022 to much excitement. This is essentially the plan to densify the neighborhoods around the subway throughout the next 30 years. The approval comes after several rounds of readjusting and other twists and turns. Although the plan calls for more density along the corridor, there is still some pushback as to what type of density is needed. Regardless, the plan aims to promote walkability and a slowdown of sprawl eastward. As most of you are aware, a new storage and maintenance yard is part of the Broadway Subway extension. This yard will be at what was used to be known as the Crane facility just off North Road in eastern Burnaby. Right now, the old buildings in the area have been demolished and all tenants have moved out except for Handy Dart since it's a TransLink operating company. No major signs of construction have begun quite yet, but some early works are taking place. Last but not least, you can't have a subway extension without new trains. Production for the landmark 205 car order from Alstom is underway at the Quebec plant. This order will also cover replacement of the older Mark I trains. Details were posted to a TransLink board meeting in June 2022. A mock-up was presented in late 2021 and it was revealed that the new type would be called the Mark V, with the Mark IV being assigned to current Mark IIIs undergoing certain upgrades. These will be the longest trains in the network at around 85 meters long. Currently, the longest trains are about 70 meters long, give or take a couple meters. I will put links in the description, but at the end of the day, it's all about the major upgrade in rolling stock. The most important update to expect by the next year is the completion of the tunnel excavation. By then, the construction of the station buildings can start and we can see the station start to take shape. I doubt I will have access to any of that, but these days the Ministry of Transportation has been doing a really good job at the behind the scenes coverage, especially in areas where there is no public access. Anyways, thanks for tuning into this update. Again, the plan is to release one update video every year. Which step are you most excited for? Leave it in the comments. If you like transit related content like this, please consider subscribing to the channel, and I will see you in the next one. Cheers!